The tension had been building for months, but no one expected it to explode like this. One interview, one sentence, one moment on national television that sent shockwaves through the entire WNBA world. What started as a routine conversation about collective bargaining suddenly felt like the beginning of a full-scale crisis. Fans panicked. Players reacted. Owners went quiet. And at the center of it all stood Adam Silver, calmly choosing his words, while knowing exactly how powerful they would be. When Adam Silver sat down on the Today show, he did not raise his voice. He did not sound angry. He did not attack anyone directly. But sometimes the most dangerous statements are delivered with a smile and a steady tone. As the conversation shifted toward the WNBA and the ongoing CBA negotiations, he said something that instantly changed everything. He explained that share was not the right way to look at things because the NBA generates far more revenue. He acknowledged that WNBA players would receive a significant increase and that they deserved it. Then he drew a line. Not a bigger percentage. In that moment, the entire league felt the ground move beneath its feet. Because this was not just about money. This was about power, control, and who truly owns the future of women basketball. Behind the scenes, chaos erupted. The WNBA was already walking a tightrope. Negotiations were tense. Players were demanding more than ever before. Owners were nervous. Investors were watching closely. And now, the most powerful man in professional basketball had gone on television and essentially told everyone how this was going to end. The league was already fragile. This pushed it to the edge. Officially, the WNBA entered a state of uncertainty. Unofficially, panic set in. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert found herself trapped in the middle of a storm she did not fully control. On one side, angry players who felt undervalued and disrespected. On the other side, Adam Silver, who ultimately controls much of the financial lifeline that keeps the league alive. Every word she said now mattered. Every silence spoke louder than any statement. What made this moment even more explosive was the timing. The WNBA was in the middle of collective bargaining negotiations. This is the period where leagues and players' unions fight over salaries, bonuses, benefits, and revenue distribution. It is where futures are decided. And the biggest demand from players was clear. They wanted a larger share of league revenue. Right now, WNBA players receive roughly 9% of total revenue. NBA players receive close to 50%. On the surface, that comparison feels unfair, and that is exactly what the players were pointing to. But Adam Silver was looking at the situation through a completely different lens. The WNBA has never consistently turned a profit. Even now, with increased attention and record-breaking viewership, the league still depends heavily on NBA support. This is the part no one likes to talk about. The WNBA does not fully own itself. 42% of the league is owned by the WNBA itself. 40% is owned by the NBA. The remaining 18% belongs to outside investors brought in during 2022 when the league desperately needed funding. That means even if Cathy Engelbert wanted to give players a 50-50 revenue split, she literally cannot. The authority does not exist. This reality hit players like a punch to the gut, and instead of keeping the fight at the negotiating table, the players' union decided to take it public. The WNBPA posted a sarcastic message on Instagram, directly tagging Adam Silver with the words, "Don't want to share Adam Silver? No burner account. No anonymous source." The official union account, that single post, poured gasoline on the fire. From a professional standpoint, stunned everyone watching. Negotiations are supposed to happen behind closed doors, quietly, carefully, with strategy. But instead, the league watched its players' union openly mock the man keeping the lights on. Owners froze. Sponsors cringed. Investors started asking questions they'd never asked before. The league responded by calling the union statement misleading. They claimed they had already offered an uncapped revenue-sharing model tied to league growth. In simple terms, they said, "We made you an offer, you just did not like it." And now everything was out in the open. Cathy Engelbert was stuck trying to calm furious players. While avoiding a public confrontation with Adam Silver, she had to protect the image of growth while knowing how fragile that growth really was. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. The WNBA, boom, everyone keeps talking about, has a name. Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark did not just boost ratings, she changed the conversation. She packed arenas. She doubled attendance. She turned regular season games into must-watch events. She became the reason networks paid attention and sponsors returned calls. Without her, the league does not have leverage. With her, expectations exploded overnight. And that explosion is what triggered this crisis. Players began pointing to the numbers. Attendance was up. Ratings were soaring. Jersey sales were flying off shelves. They said, "Look at the growth. We deserve more." And they were not wrong. But what they refused to acknowledge was that this growth was not evenly distributed. It was driven by one player. When Caitlin Clark got injured, everything collapsed. Ratings dropped almost immediately. Media coverage faded. Talk shows stopped mentioning the league. ESPN quietly canceled a new WNBA program after just weeks on air. Owners saw the truth in real time. Without Caitlin Clark, the hype disappeared overnight. Adam Silver noticed in his mind, this confirmed everything he already believed. The system was still broken. The foundation was weak. One star was holding everything together. And that is not a business model you bet the future on. This is why he drew the line publicly. This is why he said absolute numbers matter. More than percentage share, from his perspective, players were demanding a bigger slice of a pie that barely existed. Meanwhile, the players did not care about financial nuance. They cared about respect. They felt undervalued for decades. And Caitlin Clark's success made them feel like now was the moment to push. Confidence turned into confrontation. Negotiations turned hostile. Every owner and investor saw the worst-case scenario forming. A lockout. The next CBA deadline falls on Halloween. A fitting date, because for the WNBA, it could be a nightmare. If players refused to play without a new deal, the league could face its first true shutdown. No games, no revenue, no momentum. Sponsors would flee. Networks would move on. Fans would lose interest faster than it took to build it. And here is the cruel irony. The same player who saved the league might now be the reason it tears itself apart. Caitlin Clark did nothing wrong. She played basketball at an elite level. She attracted fans. She elevated the sport. But her impact exposed just how fragile everything was underneath. She raised expectations faster than the league infrastructure could support. Now every argument circles back to her. Players use her success as proof they deserve more. Owners use her injury as proof the league cannot afford it. Adam Silver points to her as evidence that growth is star-driven, not system-driven. Cathy Engelbert is trapped trying to balance optimism with reality. Fan-retired players have admitted the truth quietly. The league is worth more now because of one name. And that is terrifying. Because what happens if she leaves? What happens if she gets hurt again? What happens when the spotlight moves on? The WNBA has quadrupled its media deal to around $260 million. That sounds impressive until you compare it to the NBA billions. 9% of revenue sounds unfair until you realize there is no profit to share. But try explaining that to players who feel they are finally relevant. The players. Union has demanded transparency, accusing the league of hiding money. As if there is a secret vault somewhere filled with profits. But the truth is simpler and uglier. The NBA has been funding the WNBA for nearly 3 decades. If Adam Silver ever decided to walk away, the league would collapse within a year. That is the part Cathy Engelbert cannot say publicly. Because admitting it would destroy the empowerment narrative the league has worked so hard to sell. The idea that women basketball is finally self-sustaining. That it no longer needs saving, but right now it does. Adam Silver knows this. That is why he is calm. He holds leverage. Cathy Engelbert knows this. That is why she sounds careful. The players know this too, which is why they are angry. They feel trapped by a system they do not control. And then there is Caitlin Clark. Quiet, focused, probably in a gym. somewhere shooting jumpers while her name gets dragged through boardrooms and headlines. She has become the centerpiece of every argument without asking for any of it. The league identity crisis now revolves around her existence. Without her, the league struggles. With her, expectations explode. There is no comfortable middle ground. Adam Silver does not want another lockout on his record, especially not for a league that barely breaks even. He wants a quiet resolution. Modest raises. Positive headlines. Stability. Kathy Engelbert wants to prove she can lead independently without looking like a puppet. The players want recognition, power, and a future they can believe in. But time is running out. Every press release sounds defensive. Every quote feels like damage control. Fans are picking sides. Sponsors are hesitating. And behind-the-scenes discussions are getting darker. If no deal happens, the consequences will be brutal.